out since part 1. But I've had some trouble. Can't seem to find the proper fabric for the coat. Needs to be warm enough to be a coat and not really warm enough to kill me indoors. But it's almost summer and there's not that much to choose from anymore. My fault, I know. Poor planning on my part. But that's what I get for starting a costume without having everything for it. My motivation just kind of went right out the window for a bit, so it's been slow, but I did make progress. I finished the lockets. I also fixed the inner jacket or tunic, whatever you want to call it, though I did start from a finished version that I had from a longest time ago, like 5 years ago, that I made for Halloween. At the time I didn't pay enough attention, so we did have to change a couple of things. I can show you what I did and how I did it at the end, if you want to see. The dead side's still in progress. It's a bit of a tricky one. Yeah, so it's kind of taking a lot longer than I thought it would, but I'm gonna finish it eventually. I guess that's everything I have to say, and let's get to the making of the lockets. Get around, folks, and listen up as I spin the thrilling tale of how the magic happened. The making of the lockets. First off, imagine me walking into a craft store, feeling like a pirate hunting for treasure. I grabbed some pendant and necklace pieces, nothing fancy, just a few different shapes and sizes. Armed with 3 or 4 different ones, it was time to unleash my creativity. Now, here's where the real fun begins. Ever heard of the 3 Musketeers? Well, I had my own trio of golden heroes. Classy gold, dark gold, and just your average gold. These bad boys were about to become the canvas for my masterpiece. Each locket has its own story to tell, its own personality, so I meticulously matched its shape with the hue of gold, because, you know, every mourning locket has its own flair. Then came the exciting part, the tiny images. This is the reference I used for the little images. My printer was out of ink, but I didn't let that stop me. I grabbed my pencils and drew the pictures by hand, making sure they looked just right. Size, nailed it. Color? Oh, we're talking watercolor magic on thick fancy paper. I used some mixed media paper similar to watercolor paper, so it can hold some water without ripping. Now the nerve-wracking part, gluing these miniature masterpieces in place. Hot glue to the rescue. Pro tip, let that glue sizzle or you'll end up with a wonky mess. Then press, 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 and voila. No loose ends here, folks. I couldn't find the little glass bits to fit all of them. Did I let that stop me? Absolutely not. Instead, I unleashed the glossy varnish army, layer upon layer, We're talking glassy fortress to protect those precious images. Who needs glass when you've got shine for days? And finally, the last piece, the golden chain to wrap around your waist, showcasing these beauties like the treasures they are. And just like that, the saga of the lockets concludes. As promised, here it is. These are the changes. They were black, now they're white. I didn't realize at the time that they were white, so I just made it all black. I also had to change the interfacing in the collar. I was 5 years old and falling apart because I did wear this thing outside of cosplay. I do wear it occasionally. I didn't have a lot of knowledge in the sewing and pattern making at the time, so I used what I had, which was I knew how to make dresses, so I used the pattern for a base dress, and instead of using the waist, I used the hip and just made it straight from there. As you can see, this is perfectly straight, no curves here. Men don't have as many curves as we do, so to fake that, I just made it all the same size. It's about just below the knee is where it ends. The buttons only go just a little below the waist because you need to move, and it doesn't make sense to have more than that. I also don't think the reference had more than that, so yeah. I have blue buttons because of reasons. Don't forget to check your interfacing kits. It can fight gravity if it's falling apart. That's all.